Judith Clark, and I'm with the Aboriginal Women's Association of PEI. We are a nonprofit organization. We have our members are both on and off reserve, and it's open to any Indigenous person that wants to be part of our organization. And I think what makes it, we give a voice for Indigenous women and their families, which includes the children. We have an umbrella organization with the Mi'kmaq Family Resource Center. We have an off-reserve Head Start program. We are connected locally, provincially, and nationally within, and we network with other women's organizations. How we were established in the early 70s. Then we changed our name to present day, so we're over 25 years old. And our goal was to look at women's issues, because one of our mottos is stronger women create stronger communities. So it's a voice for them. And we are project driven, proposal driven. So and we network with other Aboriginal organizations to help better and be informative and to support our women. We also are very informative of what's happening on a national basis, because we right now there are main things on the table nationally, and it's about identity, the Bill S3, and so we had the opportunity of taking that to our community members and anybody that has programs and services that to be informative. We also, on the Dishanu case, like we had that, we have the matrimony real property, informing both, on and off reserve members about that because of the violence. And we also, every year, we've had the vigil on October the 4th. And so we meet quarterly as a board, and we don't have a lot of, because we're a nonprofit organization, we don't have a lot of funding. We're all volunteers, and we try the best we can with what we have. For our proposals, and we've had our language, like even through the Head Start program, and any resources and people out there that are willing to help and support our programs. And we also are connected to our elders that that help with their historical and cultural aspect of it. And we encourage as much as we can the importance of what language is important, and it is dying in PEI. We're losing a lot of elders. Our population overall of Mi'kmaq is around 1,300. Like it's not a big. So the stats say, but then there's others that say it's over 2,000. So that's self-identifying. We network, and because we're a small population, we encourage our members to support and get their language where they can, and they know the importance of it. Like we make drums, so we learn how to sing the songs, and right now there's a lot of our community members, both male and female, that have drums. And like even 5 years ago, they didn't have that opportunity. So with the drums, there comes knowledge and songs. So that's part of the language, and and we encourage that. And you can go to our communities, and they will sing the honor song, or they'll sing "Oh Canada," and they never used to. But it's encouraging our members and families to be proud of who they are, and to not be afraid to use what the language you know. And I'm not that fluent, but I grew up in a family that was fluent. But because of lost connections and my parents are both gone, and I live off reserve. So what I use, I was always afraid because you're always corrected. No, that's not how you say it. But when you say Bemganamasi, I'm just learning again, then it puts a whole different light on it because you're trying. So I always encourage people, like when somebody say, oh, you're saying it wrong or whatever, I say, Bemganamasi, I'm just learning. And I said, and so they'll stop and wow, and encourage you because we have to say like Kwe, Nina Delawisin, or just talk because I know when I was growing up, because we have different dialects, and PEI is a little different from Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, the Mi'kmaq, and even Gaspé, that everybody used to always correct you in some of how we say some words. But I say, but you know what? Our dialect is a little different. Like we say, like bugs and snakes in a different word. And they go, really? So when you look back at your history, that even though we're Mi'kmaq, we can understand each other. There's some topics, I guess, that are different. And it's the same with, I remember being in New Brunswick, and the Mi'kmaq there, the elder asked me to go and get a blanket. But the word for blanket, for me, was the same as dress. So she she told me to go upstairs on her bed, and that's where the blanket would be. But I went upstairs looking for a dress, and I couldn't find it because it was my sister-in-law. But I have my sister-in-laws are from New Brunswick, So in another scenario was we were out in a blueberry field, and you know how you put the blanket out, right? And the blanket went out, and my sister-in-law saw bugs. So she just wiped it off and threw it in the back seat. So when my mom came to sit in the back seat, because we were picking berries, she said, oh, in Mi'kmaq, she told her, watch out for the snake. And my mom was always scared of snakes. She jumped out of the car and thinking, but then she goes, no, I don't mean Judith. Judith is snake for her. But deskum, she told I had two different words. One was a snake, but to us, the Judith was a snake. But to her, the Judith was an insect, like, bugs and ants. So something like that we get. And it's just, it's funny. And it's the same thing with Nova Scotia. Their dialect is a little different, and, so when you get all three or all the Atlantic in, we're all Mi'kmaq, we can understand, but there's some words that are different. Our association is basically not, like we don't produce a lot of resources available for students. What we do is we have, I think, data and reports on different topics, and maybe some of those can get published, because from that, once we've done the project, and like we have one, our Roots Run Deep, we interviewed a lot of our women, and I think, and some of those women are not with us anymore, but I think if we have it somewhere where our members could, our families could have access, it's there, because then our work will go on, and with that history and stuff, because there's not a lot of us, so when they have access to information, I think it's all good. It's awareness, it's knowledge, and right now I know the university is trying to indigenize their campus. So what does that mean, right? Indigenize. And I really feel that I've been there as a volunteer with them over a number of years, and to help them bring awareness. Like I would make Luskinnigan, our bannock, our bread, and in that process tell our story about the Indian Act and how it's affected me personally, because I lost my status. The difference in that, like we're not all on the same, even though we're all Mi'kmaq, the government has categorized us in different who we are. So I would bring that awareness, and I have over, I think it's over, since 2001. So like, and this is, so I spend a lot of time, and to me it was like, and I would say that this is in my opinion, and this is how it affects me. And I think each one has a different story and how it's affected them. And when you look at the different nations, we have to, you have to accept them. We don't have to, but I guess we should, because they're Indigenous. And to me, that is inclusive. Like, when the terminology was, we're Indian, we're Aboriginal, and now we're Indigenous. And people said, so what does that mean to you? And I said, it's inclusive. Because those are languages that the government put on us, and we know who we are. And it's just bringing awareness. I have seen even the last 5 years, it's growing. It's been computerized more. It's been, you can find it in Google. I go to Indigo and I go into their kiosk and I put Mi'kmaq. And whatever somebody has published in Mi'kmaq, it will come up. So then I know I'm sort of like on track with what's new. I know that on my iPhone, there's an app and it says Inuizi, so you can tap on it, and it has the word, how to sound it out, and a picture. So that, children, I didn't have that growing up, so that's incredible. And I know there's a lot of artists and scholars and writers that are publishing more, and you can buy it. It's accessible. So I think, and what I see in the school, there's one teacher in Lennox Island that she's from Nova Scotia, and I see the changes, like even in the pride in this generation that's coming up, because when I was growing up, we weren't allowed to speak Mi'kmaq. We weren't allowed to know about our culture, and I see the pride in events, and when we go to a powwow, or when they're doing a presentation, I see that the pride instilled in the children and community, that they will perform, they will do presentations, so, and it's knowledge-based, and I really feel it's going to take some time, but I feel this generation that's coming up are educating and are being educated from our ancestors and our relatives that we have, but also through resources available through other sources.